Welcome to the Andrea Engstrom Show. I am passionate about helping you break through to your next level of abundance, success, and freedom so that you can create the life you desire and inspire others to do the same. I'm your host, Andrea Engstrom, and on today's show, we are going to talk about stepping into your next level identity. Your identity consists of your beliefs and ideas that you hold true about yourself. But a lot of us wrap our identity around the roles we have been assigned or taken on in our lives or our past experiences. And so we will decide what we are capable of based on those roles and experiences. So I hear people say all the time things like, I'm just a mom, I'm not an entrepreneur, or I'm just a nurse, I'm not a real estate investor. And so we have an internal struggle around our identity when we are trying to start something new, even if we're excited about that thing. Sometimes it's the identity that we have assigned to ourselves or that we have accepted from others that we will use as an excuse and something that holds us back. So over the course of my life, I've had several roles that many of you can relate to. I, first of all, was a daughter and a sister, and then I became a wife and a mom. I am a friend. I had 2 grandbabies recently, and now I am a yaya. I've been an employee. I've been a manager. I'm a boss. I'm an investor. I'm a coach, and I'm a leader. A little bit about my story. So I'm a Kansas girl. I was raised by entrepreneurs, but I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I knew that I wanted to be a mom. So I got married at age 18, like a good homeschool girl would, and had 2 kids by the age of 20. By age 25, I was divorced and broke with 2 kids, and I was a single mama. At age 27, I found love again, and my husband and I went to work to pay off $50,000 in student loans, and we knocked it out in just 18 months. A few years later, I joined a business coaching firm, and I began mentoring under one of the top business coaches in the world, my dad. And a few years later, I became a certified business coach. After that, we started a branding agency with my dad and my husband, and we grew it to 30 team members and multiple 7 figures of revenue. And then we sold the agency after about 5 years. After selling the agency, I joined a mentorship for real estate investing called the Women's Real Estate Investors Network, and I did 10 deals in my first 6 months as a real estate investor. Ask me about that if you are interested in being a real estate investor. I can refer them at a high level. Later, I became a coach in the ring and the co-founder of the partnership, which is an organization for realtors. And I was invited to start a podcast called Without Fear of Her Future with the amazing founder of that network, Teresa Todd. It was such a joy. And this year, I started Bold Mastermind, where I coach women entrepreneurs to step into their next level of clarity, confidence, and connections. So I just shared with you a lot of things that I would call accomplishments. It's what I look back over the course of my life and I can say, well, I did this and I did this. And it's like the things that would be listed out on a bio, right? Some of those things. But over the years, I also dropped out of college. I quit my first marriage. I went into debt. I developed a drinking problem. I gained 100 pounds. I sabotaged my relationships by being critical and blaming everyone around me for my unhappiness. I did not manage my stress well, and I tried a million different ways to comfort myself in my suffering. These were all symptoms of what was going on inside me, and I needed to change. So through the course of that time, I developed other labels for myself besides just those roles. Labels like disappointed, unmet expectations, that I'm not enough, that I'm broken, and possibly incapable of a healthy relationship. I told myself that I am a quitter, that I am a failure. I was broke, and I was a drunk. But those labels are not what I let define me today. So over the past few years, I've been doing a lot of work on myself. getting the help that I needed to get healthy, and going through a process of developing a mindset and a spiritual life that allows me today to tell you that I have turned my not enough into worthy. From being broken to being healed. From thinking I'm a quitter to I am tenacious. From feeling like a failure to being able today to tell you I am disciplined. From being broke to being abundant. And from being a drunk to being sober. And some of the work that I did on myself is what I'm going to share with you today. One of the things that I did was I wrote down some affirmations, and I'm going to walk you through a process of how I arrived at some of these statements because they have absolutely transformed my life. And so I call these the truth. And I have to tell myself these things every day because I have to be reminded about who God says I am and who I choose to be, not who I used to be. Because you are not your past, you are your potential. And I believe that I am my potential. I am not who I used to be. And so the things that I say about myself today are what I call the truth. And so these are those statements, and I want to share them with you. I am bold. I take action. I am strong. I get through challenges and lead others. I am kind, even in stressful situations. I am disciplined. I keep promises to myself. I am tenacious. I can do hard things. I am a developer. I create opportunities, not wait for them. I am an attractor of multi-million-dollar deals. I am inspiring. I am authentic. I make a difference. So the greatest question that we can ask ourselves is, who do I need to be? Who do I need to be in order to do what it takes to have what I want to have? And most of us are walking around through life in a default mode that was set by the things we were born into, by the ways that we were raised, by the limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves. And a lot of us walk through life in fear of what could happen, and in fear of both if something bad might happen, but also sometimes we're afraid not just of what bad might happen, but what if something really good happens? My favorite quote is by Marianne Williamson, and it's in her book, A Return to Love. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Today, as you listen to this podcast, are you more afraid of failure or more afraid of succeeding? Because if we have success, then we have to know who we are. We have to show up as her. We have to become someone at a next level. And some of us unconsciously even are afraid that the thing that we really want or that we think that we want will actually come true. And so we are subconsciously hesitating on picking up the phone and making the call. We are hesitating on going after the new client that we really want to work with. Because A, we may be afraid of failure, but B, we may also be afraid that then we have to show up and do the thing if they say yes. And so really look at your heart and identify, what am I afraid of? A lot of us, because of our past experiences, are afraid that we are not enough to do the thing that we really want to do. That is something that held me back for years. And so I want to share with you an exercise that I learned from my dad, who's a brilliant business coach that I mentored under. And it's an exercise called Lies into Abilities. And so the idea is that we all have the things that we tell ourselves when we are by ourselves about why we are not good enough, why we can't do the thing that we want to do, why we are not worthy. And so here's how it works. We are going to make a list of all of your perceived liabilities. And so you're going to include the negative things that you say to yourself about your own personal shortcomings and the things that you believe create disadvantage for you, such as your status, your family, economic challenges, anything that you would put in a sentence with, it's harder for me because, or I can't do that because. So some of us will blame our marriage status on whether we can or cannot do something, right? And so as part of a large network of women, something that I heard on a regular basis was, well, I can't because my husband won't get on board with that. And other people would say, well, I can't because I'm single and I don't have a spouse. And so it's all a perception around what we can or cannot do based on our status. But so write all of those things down. And then next, for each statement that is a perceived liability, we're going to turn it around and we're going to write an empowering I am statement that is the truth about who you are and who you are becoming. Because we all carry around these lies about ourselves. And I shared with you some of mine. And so I want to share with you a few more and kind of go in a little bit deeper on that, on what it actually looks like and what it showed up as in my life. And so one of those things over the years that led to me dropping out of college was I'm terrible at math and I'm lost when it comes to understanding financials. And so here I am, a business coach, telling myself that I'm terrible at math and I'm lost when it comes to understanding business financials. And many of you today know me because I host a workshop where I actually walk you through formulas and equations in your business for how you could improve profitability. And so you'd say, Andrea, that's crazy. You're great at math. You teach math in your coaching sessions. And it's because I turned that limiting belief around. And I said to myself, I am an eager student and I am great at finding resources and people to help me with financial decisions. And so I know for me that I have to work a little bit harder to get those concepts right and to be able to share them with other people. And we all learn best by teaching others. And so I had to learn things to a point where I could share it with others because it's so important that we understand financials in our business. So I say today, I am an eager student and I'm great at finding resources and people to help me with financials. Another thing I would say to myself about myself is that I get too nervous when I have to talk to a group of people. It doesn't come out right. I'm not a good presenter. And I had evidence in my life that this was true. When I was a kid, I used to audition because I really wanted to do theater. I wanted to be in musical performances. I wanted to be in shows with all my friends on stage. And I thought that sounded so much fun. And then I would audition. I would have totally bombed the audition because I was so nervous in front of a room of people. One of my first jobs was as an advertising agency executive. And so part of my role when I was 25 years old is I had to stand at the front of a boardroom full of a bunch of very successful people from our community. And I had to stand at the front and present a new brand for our economic development organization in our community. And I had a piece of paper in my hands standing at the front of that room so that I could look at my notes at the front. And I held that piece of paper up in front of me and my hand literally trembled and everybody in the room could see my hand was shaking while I was presenting. And I can tell you story after story of when I did not feel confident presenting to a group of people. But today I will tell you, I am an excellent presenter. I share authentically, and people need to hear what I have to say. And so again, it was something that I've had to work at a lot over the years and gain my confidence in. And sometimes we gain confidence because we do things that we are uncomfortable doing and become competent in something that we were incompetent at when it's something that is important to us. And so today I am an excellent presenter. I share authentically. People need to hear what I have to say. Another thing I shared with you earlier that was a limiting belief that I held for years was that I am a quitter. When things get hard, I move on to something easier. And I had a life of experience telling me this was true. I dropped out of college because it was too hard. I quit my first marriage because it was definitely hard. And I'm not saying that that was the wrong thing to do, but in my mind, that told me that that's who I was, that I was a failure and I was a quitter, and that that's what that means about me. But today I will tell you, I am tenacious. I do hard things and I inspire others so that they can do it too. And so I want for you to have that clarity of empowering beliefs about yourself, because we don't usually naturally come across those kinds of beliefs. We'll occasionally have successes in our life, but for me, my successes were not enough to overcome the limiting beliefs that were holding me back from stepping into my true potential, from what I know that I am capable of today. And so when I first got into real estate investing, that was the stuff, that was the hard work that I had to do, was to shift my identity, because I had never done anything like that in real estate and taking on big financial obligations like that really tested my belief around what I was capable of and who I am. Because being precedes doing. We have to show up as her if we're going to take the actions and get the results that future successful me wants to have and the things that I want to do. And I don't show up as future successful me naturally every day. I am striving to become her. And so this is one of the ways that I do the work to become her. And so that's what I want to share with you today, is that you can do it too. You can absolutely take those limiting beliefs that you are carrying around and let them go. Turn them into an empowering statement. You know, I think of it as kind of like we're all carrying a backpack through life with us. And in this backpack, whenever something hard happens, whenever there's a failure or something traumatic in our life, or someone says something to us, and you know how when somebody says something negative to you, you will play it over and over in your head. And it doesn't matter how many positive things other people say to you. Sometimes the one that sticks is the negative one. And it's kind of like when those things happen, we are putting boulders and rocks in our backpack. And then we're trying to carry that thing around with us. And it slows us down, and it causes us to stop and to hesitate because we're thinking about those rocks in our backpack. And so turning those lies into empowering abilities statements about what you are becoming and who you intend to be, those affirmations statements, those are the things that allow us to take those rocks out of our backpack, to deal with those limiting beliefs that we have. And this will not, as a preface, this will not replace therapy. Some of you need therapy to deal with the rocks in your backpack because there's true trauma that exists there. But what I want for you is freedom. And so get the therapy that you need. Therapy has been very helpful to me over the years. Get that professional help that you need, but also recognize that there are some things that are the daily patterns and the ways of thinking that you can correct by doing the hard work to actually take those rocks out of your backpack and set them down. Put the rocks down. Quit carrying them around with you. And sometimes we have a tendency to want to pick the rocks back up, don't we? We will think that we've put them down. We went to therapy. We did the thing, and then a situation will arise that reminds us of a past failure, or that reminds us of something that we still need to deal with. And so it's almost like we pick it back up and we put it back in our backpack. And it's almost like it's a security blanket, right? It's like a safety that we carry with us because we're more comfortable carrying that load than feeling the freedom after we've put those things down. So I want to encourage you to step into your next level of identity by stepping into freedom, by putting those rocks down. Do these exercises, go through the hard work, do the work that it takes to become your next level self. So there's a principle in all of my coaching groups that I share very, very first of all. And so the principle is called above or below the line. Above or below the line. And so this lies into abilities exercise I've explained to you is something that will help you to stay above the line in your thinking, in your attitudes, and your words. And so the above or below the line principle goes like this. Above the line, we take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for our attitudes, our words, and our actions. So above the line, our language sounds like, I choose to, I prefer, I will, I can. Above the line, we are victors and we get results. In contrast, below the line is where we're using blame. We're making excuses. We are in denial, or maybe have a sense of entitlement. If only the world were different, then I could be successful. If only the market were better, then I could get a deal. Right? So our language below the line sounds like I can't because it's those liability statements, right? Or I have to, like it's not in our control, or I have to do this thing and I don't want to do it, or I must. So it's like, it's taking the control away, like you're a victim or something. Or if only the world were different, then I could do the things that I really want to do. Right? But below the line, we are victims. And there are reasons. And so those things sound like reasons why we're not successful. Above the line, though, we are empowered. And I don't know if you recognize, but the first letter of each of those words in ownership, accountability, and responsibility spell out the word or. And when we are above the line, it is like we are picking up the oar and rowing our own boat, pushing ourselves forward. We are making it happen. Below the line, blame, excuses, denial, sense of entitlement. What do those things spell? Well, they spell the word beds, because it's like we're laying in our beds, watching the world happen around us and like waiting for something to happen for us, or for something good to come along. But in reality, we are just being defeated. We're just watching the world pass us by. One of my favorite values, and I encourage everyone that I work with to get clear about what your personal values are, because those are also things that will influence your affirmation statements, right? It will show up in what you say about yourself and who you are becoming. And it's the beliefs that you live by. And one of my favorite values words is the word integrity. And I always bold the word grit in the middle of the word integrity. And this is my favorite definition. It's from Brené Brown in her book, Dare to Lead. She says, integrity is choosing courage over comfort. It's choosing what's right over what's fun, fast, or easy. And it is practicing your values, not just professing them. So are you bold enough? Are you brave enough to choose courage over comfort? Or are you just going to continue to suffer in comfort? We all make decisions every day about if we're going to show up and take action and do hard things sometimes that will move us towards our goals. Or sometimes we will wake up and instead of making the decision to take action, we will find something to make ourselves feel more comfortable about not taking action, or about feeling like we are discouraged, or allowing ourselves to sort of sulk or, feel bad for ourselves about what isn't happening for us. But here's the deal, y'all. Nobody is coming along to do this thing for you. Nobody is coming along to do this thing for you. And so we have to be the ones that pick up our oar and propel ourselves forward. And some will say, God will do it for me. But you know what? God shows up when we show up. If we're just laying in our beds waiting for good things to happen around us, it is really hard for us to accept the good gifts that he has for us. And so we have to be moving ourselves forward and putting ourselves in positions of opportunity so that we can receive the good things. And so what I want for you is to be bold, to take action, and to stop choosing comfort over tenacity. So here's a question I have for you. What if everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of becoming bold? What if everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of becoming bold? So this is my challenge to you today. Write your list of liabilities and turn them into positive, empowering affirmations about who you decide to be moving forward. Write those empowering statements based on your values today, not on who you used to be, but on who you decide to be. Who do you choose to be? Write those statements and say those things out loud to yourself. It's going to feel weird, but just do it. If you were encouraged earlier today, hearing me say my affirmations, the truth out loud to you, you can do that for yourself every day by saying your affirmation statements out loud. And if you want to gain more clarity in your life and in your business and step into your personal confidence, then I want to invite you to join me for a free workshop for women entrepreneurs on how to build your personal clarity and confidence and become a referrals magnet so that you can double your income and live your best life. So I have a workshop you can register for. It's called The 3 Secrets to Double Your Income: Clarity, Confidence, and Unlimited Referrals. And you can register for that today at AndreaEngstrom.com. So if I shared something on the show today that resonated with you, would you let me know by giving me a review? It just takes a second. You just click how many stars you want to give me. And then you can also drop me a line at AndreaEngstrom.com. And if you are a woman entrepreneur, you can also join my Facebook group called Bold Women in Business Sisterhood, where I share strategies for clarity, confidence, and powerful connections so that you can build the business and the life that you deserve. Till next time, I'm Andrea Engstrom, encouraging you to take action on your dreams. You are the one who makes your dreams come true. So show up to your life with power and authenticity. Be bold, be tenacious, and make it happen.